silence the ignorance.
Okay.
We cannot fight nor combat ignorance with ignorance. I want you to understand that our response for a public endurance of something, everybody's looking. Listen, first responders, I want to talk about that just for a second. We're still talking about silence the ignorance. First responders, their job is to come upon a scene that has been a catastrophic happening, a disruption in the flow of life. And their job is to respond in a way that will set the course for a better outcome. It is a proven fact that if you go into a heart attack, if the first responders get there in a timely fashion and apply certain measures of life-saving instruments, it is proven that you have a better chance of having a productive life because of the first response. What's your first response every time you go through something?
My God. Come on now. What you...
Is it to cuss? Is it to speak ill? Is it to speak disruption because it's disrupting you? Listen, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That scripture comes into play. Listen, when you have ignorance coming at you from all corners, and your response to ignorance is ignorance, what do you think it's going to beget? Ignorance begets ignorance. 1 Peter 2:15 says, for so is the will of God. What? It tells you next, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
Well.
Next scripture. As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God. So the scenario I described to you where the young man or young woman got a position because of master's degree, that would come into play here on the second part. As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness. Just because you have a master's degree doesn't mean you need to be malicious and look down on me because I don't.
Amen.
Just because you have more education in a situation doesn't mean you need to look down on me because I don't. You need to operate as a child of God. You need to operate in love. You need to operate in the way you would want me to deal with you. We got so many ignorant things popping off in our life right now. How do I make them become quiet to me, God? He says, well, do well. How, God? How do I do well? Well, your first response to things should be precision, intent, and knowledge applied so that the outcome of quality of life is better because of your response when you first did it. Listen, your first response should be, okay, I love you with the love of God. I'm using the power and the authority of God to deal with this situation. Whereby the outcome for me, notice everything I used had God in it. Please understand that. Everything that you use has to have God in it. Because if it doesn't have God in it, it's going to fail.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to talk to you about stuff I ain't experienced. I've operated a lot of times when I was younger. When I say younger, I'm talking teens, out of John Wayne's ability. And I can tell you right now, John Wayne's ability can only go that far. We all have to go through something. God says when you do it well.
Well, come on.
Go through it as a Christian should. Let your responses be those of, well, God, what do you want? What do I want to see happen? Victory. So let your responses be of victory.
Come on.
Let your responses be one of positivity, not negativity. How many times in life are you approached with a situation whereas somebody comes at you wrong at work, and I say work because most of everybody in here is of working age, and the first response you have is one of anger. You're not going to do me like this. I'm tired of people pushing me around. I'm tired of these things happening to me. The scenarios can continue, but just apply your own life situation to it. How many times do you get there, and when do you ever get to the situation where you go, now wait a minute, this is happening too frequently.
Well.
God, if I'm in school right now, help me to make the grade.
Hallelujah.
So I can pass on to the next grade. See, you don't get to the next level until you're able to master the one you're in. And if you are continuously going through the same trial of life, apparently you ain't looked at the report card.
My God, my God.
You might find an F for failed, a D for didn't get it, a C for can't get right, a B for better luck next time. Or if you see an A, that means accomplished. It's done. It's finished.
Come on.
Move on. When you get to that point where you start to pay attention to the grades, you then get to move forward, and God says, all right, so if you apply this principle, what principle, God? This is the will of God, that with well-doing, you shut down ignorance.
Come on now, come on.
If you've ever asked yourself, I've responded this way in my mind, why are they being so ignorant towards me? Let not my response come out my mouth. I'm thinking it. But then I have to respond appropriately, because the first responder, when he comes on the scene, his first job is to ascertain whether or not the scene is safe, first of all.
Well,
Second of all, he is to take inventory of what's going on with the person he is supposed to help. Then he must, we're talking split seconds, then he must decide what measures of help do I need to apply in order for this person's quality of life later to be good. If I thought like that every time I approach a situation in life, this room would not be this size.
well, come on.
It'd be 15 times bigger than this. I'd have to go talk to Brother Joel and ask him, can I borrow his church? Because all my people are thinking the way they're supposed to be thinking. They are thinking with a godly mind, a kingdom mind, a mind that says, hey, this is only here to pass. Let me deal with this correctly. God, how do I deal with this? Deal with it in my authority. Deal with it in my power. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, think on these things.
Yeah.
God, what are you saying? I need you to condition your mind to think the way I need it to think to accomplish this task I've put in front of you. It's each of us having a task each and every day that we must make the grade on in order to move forward. If you don't, well, that's you. Well-doing. What is well-doing? Well, when going through, faced with issues, thinking of others, you respond in a love of God, the power of God, the authority of God. Do what is right, stay in integrity, and not your emotions will tell you to respond a certain way. Your emotions will say, well, that's not fair. Why me?
Well,
What are you doing? We remember Mama said, eat everything on your plate. The only way you could get up from the table is that you finish the course. The only way you get up from life's table
come on now.
and move forward to the next buffet that gets progressively greater
My God,
and
my
bigger.
God.
Come on. You got to think about it. He sets a table before you in the presence of your enemy.
Yes,
So
yes.
when he sets the buffet before you, you got to finish the
Yes,
course he's put
yes.
before. Eat all your vegetables.
Come on.
They're going to be strength to your mind. His word put it as marrow to your bones. The things that we go through in life, they give us nutrition. They build us. They help us. What are we looking for? Well, God, we're looking to move to the next step. God, I can't stay here too long because every time I go through this, it hurts me. It damages a little part of me. There's a little piece of me that doesn't come back from this. That's what people don't understand. As you go through life, there's little pieces that get chucked off. Because if you keep repeating something, you know you're not going to ever be able to build up strength to get through it because it doesn't pull too much from you. So at some point, learn, grow, become disciplined in your actions. And let us not be weary in well-doing. Scripture just gave you a formula to say if you want to shut the mouth of ignorance, do well. Then he comes and says in Galatians, don't be weary because of well-doing. You want me to tell you why? Because for in due season,
My God.
we shall reap
Yes,
if you faint not.
Hallelujah.
What is fainting? That doesn't mean that you just, no. Fainting is, you put your hand to the plow and you stop. You start to thinking about it. You start to thinking of what people owe you.
My God.
You owe me that, you fainting. Because your well-doing comes from a driven place within that says, God, I want to please you. God, I want to do what you say. not from what people will repay to you. That's not your drive. If that's your drive, what you are doing, what people need to pay to you, then you're in the wrong work. You need to get out, because your grades from that point forward will be B and less. Think about it. He said, if you faint not. What? Faint. So that means I have to continue being nice to people who are always hateful to me,
My God.
who always have the wrong response to me, who always make me feel this big. Listen, can't nobody make me feel this big. The reality of it is, I can't fit in between your fingers anyway. So God, now I got to trust you with all that I am in order to be what you called me to be. God didn't call us to fail. He didn't call us to go through life and become complete failures. He said, go, have dominion over.
Yes, he did.
He said, we are more than conquerors.
Yes.
Somebody said, well, brother preacher, are you telling me you're going to go out to the ocean and walk on the water? For what? If I'm in a perfectly good boat, what am I going to step out the boat for and walk on the water? That's dumb. But in life, every situation that comes
Come on now.
to wreck John Wayne's life is liquefied.
Hallelujah.
It's only coming to suck me in and pull me undertow.
Yes.
God says I can walk on it.
My God.
Wherever your feet shall tread is yours.
Me
What you
too.
saying, bro, preacher? Well, I ain't got to fall under the toe of anybody's
Come on.
forces. If I walk with God, stay uprightly, and do well,
My God.
faint not.
Yes.
These things and greater shall I do in his name.
Hallelujah.
If I have a relationship with God,
Thank you.
I'm able to walk on the waters of life. The
Yes.
people who speak the most ignorant things in your life, whether it be that you're looking at it on Facebook, Instagram, Bookface, Timeface, whatever it is, I don't know, whatever it is, and you let these people's words affect you,
Amen.
shame on you. You're a child of the King. You abide in a different atmosphere than they do. Yours is joy and peace. I got proof. Lord provides me with enough joy that it becomes and manifests itself in me as strength.
Yes.
Mad at me because the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Well,
I stand in the strength of God to know God is able to affect even the smallest things that
Yes,
concern me.
yes, yes.
Then he says, not only joy,
Hallelujah.
I want you to dwell also in peace. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding.
My God. My God.
What do you mean? Those ignorant mouths that talk against you don't understand the peace you're abiding in right now.
Amen.
What? You can go on with your life in a peaceful state. They ain't gonna understand it, so they're gonna talk negatively to you and about you. Why? Because they can't get where you are. The air up there is thinner. Noticed in the plane they don't open the windows. The air ain't fresher. You would think they, open the windows and let the fresh air in, because you're going higher. The air is thinner. So they have to provide you with air that is breathable for you, because it's real thin up there. And at the speed they're going, you wouldn't be able to catch your air. It becomes a suction. The atmosphere that the Christian abides in is not one where people are going to understand you, because it's above this foolishness.
Amen.
You've closed the mouths of
Hallelujah.
ignorance.
Hallelujah.
So you're walking uprightly before God and abiding in an atmosphere that God provides for you, only where his people belong.
Yeah.
So then other people who see you are going to be upset because you're not where they are. What do you mean, bro, preacher?
Hallelujah.
You're not mad? What you not mad about? You see them online all the time, trying to get other folk to join them. Why? Because misery loves company.
Yes, it does.
If I have
Amen.
failed
Amen.
at something, I am not going to be encouraging to you when you try,
Amen. It's the
because
truth.
I failed.
It's the truth.
God says you can shut the mouths of those ignorant people if you just do well. Your intent going in is one of, I'm pleasing God. I want to do what's right before the Lord. I want to make the best of what God has given me. So then God sustains your efforts. And it goes further than anybody else's has before you. Atmosphere you're in can't sustain foolishness. When you do well, God says, I'll close ignorant mouths. Then, the peace which passeth all understanding shall keep your heart and your mind through Christ Jesus. You ain't going to do it alone.
Hallelujah.
Please don't think you can just walk this life and have peace of mind and sleep on your pillow at night without Jesus.